I just wanna live. I just wanna live. I just wanna live. God protect me. So many thoughts in my head. Will I live or will I end up?
One in Facebook land, we just like to say greetings, peace and grace unto you. And we're going to get started with a very powerful message on today. And it's going to be a dialogue from various people, from military experience to people that were married to soldiers. And so we're going to have a very interesting dialogue on today. And I just want to start off by introducing everyone from my bottom screen. We got Brother Snow, Lewis Snow from Shreveport, Louisiana. And we have Brother Floyd, my brother, down in Fort Hood, Texas, down in Killeen, Texas. We got Dr. Dozier, Jackie Dozier. She's from Houston, Texas. And yours truly, myself, Michael Webb, and I'm also from Memphis, Tennessee. And we have Apostle Carranza Johns, which is the actual host. He's from Shreveport, Louisiana also. And we're going to get started. We're going to jump right into this dialogue. The Black Pandemic.
Excuse me, Anthony Culpepper from Chicago.
Okay, I don't see his picture up here nowhere. I don't see him on the screen. And Brother Anthony Culpepper from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to get started. Brother Derek.
We're not letting none of this get the best of us. All right? Mm-hmm. Be strong, son. We got this.
He's stressed, and I am too. Like, I told him I probably will start crying. Like, my son is, I don't know what to do for him.
This coming June is when Tiffany France thought her son would receive his diploma.
And I'm just trying to fight. He like, Mom, what was all this for? What did I do this for? Like, don't he get a chance? Do he get a chance?
But after 4 years of high school, this mom just learned her 17-year-old has to start over. He's been moved back to 9th grade.
Why would he do 3 more years in school? He didn't fail. The school failed him. The school failed at their job. They failed. That's the problem here. They failed. He didn't deserve that.
France's son attends Augusta Fells Savage Institute of Visual Arts in West Baltimore. His transcripts show in 4 years, he has passed just 3 classes, earning 2.5 credits, which places him in 9th grade. But France says she didn't know that until February. She has 3 children and works 3 jobs. She thought her oldest son was doing well because even though he failed most of his classes, he was being promoted. His transcripts show he failed Spanish 1 and Algebra 1, but was promoted to Spanish 2 and Algebra 2. He also failed English 2, but was passed on to English 3.
I'm just assuming that if you are passing, that you have the proper things, to go to the next grade. And, the right grades, you have the right credits.
As we dig deeper into her son's records, we can see in his first 3 years at Augusta Fells, he failed 22 classes and was late or absent 272 times. But in those 3 years, only 1 teacher requested a parent conference, which France says never happened. No one from the school told this mother her son was failing and not going to class.
Yeah.
France's son, in his 4 years at Augusta Fells, earned a grade point average of 0.13. He only passed 3 classes, but his transcripts show his class rank is 62 out of 120. This means nearly half of his classmates, 58 of them, have a GPA of 0.13 or lower.
He's a good kid. Like, he didn't deserve that. Where is the mentors? Where is the help for him? I hate that this is happening to my child.
In your opinion, did the school system fail this child?
Absolutely.
This city school administrator who works inside North Avenue asked not to be identified for fear of retaliation.
That school community failed this student.
This administrator told Fox 45 News city schools failed because it has protocols and interventions set up to help students who are falling behind or have low attendance. In France's son's case, they didn't happen.
I get angry. There's nothing but frustration. We see on the news the crime that occurs, the murders, the shootings. We know that there are high levels of poverty in Baltimore. Things like this are adding to that.
These children are why I do this work.
Dr. Sonia Santelises was school CEO 4 years ago when France's son was a freshman, but she will not interview with Fox 45 News. Instead, we received this 2-page statement, which explains what should happen when a student is chronically absent or failing. The district says students received a letter about their academic status this past summer, and records can be accessed through the campus portal. When a student is absent, an automated call is placed to the number on file. The statement also said the school conducted recent home visits and the student's parent visited the school. But France says none of that happened. What this statement does not address is why France's son was promoted despite failing classes. It doesn't discuss his class rank or the 58 other students with a GPA of 0.13 or lower. But it does say North Avenue is reviewing actions that impacted student outcomes at the school prior to this year.
It took a lot for me to just build the courage to do this. Like,
if you were to talk to this mom, what would you say to her?
You know, I didn't have a hand on this student, but I work for city schools, so he is one of my kids. I would hug her and I would apologize profusely.
and he feels embarrassed, like he feels like a failure. And I'm like, you can't feel like that. And you have to be strong. And you gotta keep fighting. You know, life is about fighting. Things happen, but you gotta keep fighting. And he's willing. He's trying. But who would he turn to when the people that's supposed to help him is not? Who do he turn to?
France has pulled her son out of Augusta Fells. He is now enrolled in an accelerated school program at another high school in West Baltimore. She is told if he works hard, he could graduate by 2023. And if you would like to read City School's entire two-page statement, we have posted it on our website, foxbaltimore.com. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore. Read City School's entire two-page statement. We have posted it on our website, Fox Baltimore.
Bro, Derek. Uh, 29 and 15. Proverbs 29 and 15. See it on the screen because I want to read it. Let me go to my. I wanted to address something pertaining to, can everyone hear me? I want to address something that pertains to this young lady, and we're going to get into this because this situation is not an isolated situation to this young lady. This is a pandemic. This is a Black pandemic that's throughout the whole country. And but I want to start off with a scripture, and then I'm going to go into my own personal situation, and then we're going to go around and we're going to talk about and discuss this in detail. Proverbs 29, and I'm going to begin at the 15th verse. And it reads, the rod and reproof, gives wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. And I just want to touch on the rod and the reproof, because I know we got a lot of people out here now in this this new generation. They don't believe in spanking your kids or whooping your kids or whatever. But the Bible said, and the scriptures say, that the rod and reproof, it's okay to talk to your children. It's okay to conversate with them. It's okay to be compassionate, but it's too much of that going on and not enough of the first part, which is the rod. You have to have a even balance. You got to have a balance when it comes to that. But I just want to give my own personal testimony, and then we're going to get started. When I retired back in 2000, my son was in the 12th grade. He was a senior in high school. And so he had to come back to Memphis and go to a school that he was not familiar with. He was uncommon with the culture, you know, because he was in Dobbs schools all his life. His whole life, he was in Department of Defense schools. So he didn't understand the culture or nothing. So we came back to Memphis his senior year. So he had to go to a brand new school, not knowing nobody, not knowing the culture, not knowing the principal, the teachers, not knowing no one. And he had to figure it out. He had to navigate through the school system. Well, it came up that he had to take an exit exam before he could get his diploma. And algebra was one of those things that he had to be proficient in, and he never really understood algebra coming through school. I mean, through his school, he really had a tough time with that algebra and that math. So me as a parent, knowing this about my son and knowing that he had to take that algebra to be able to exit out of the 12th grade and get his diploma, instead of me sitting back saying, well, that's the school responsibility. The school gonna have to handle that. You know, I don't have time. I got to work. You know, I got to do this, do that. What I did, I personally got involved. I got in touch with the school administration, and I found him a tutor. One of the students, she was the salutatorian of the school. I got in touch with her. Keep in mind now, that was my alma mater also. I graduated from Wooddale. So I got in touch with them, got them connected. She worked with my son for I think about 6 or 7 weeks, teaching him algebra after school. And it was painful because he had to stay after school every day. You know, he had to meet with her, but she was willing and committed to meeting with him and sitting him down and actually going through step by step until he actually learned the algebra. So when he came time for him to take the test, after everything that he had went through with her, staying with him after school for, you know, 3 days, when he took the test, he barely passed it, but he passed the algebra portion of the exit exam. And so he was able to graduate from high school with a diploma. Keep in mind, now I heard what the young lady, the mother, and I know what she's saying. She worked 3 jobs and everything was so tough on her. But my thing is, mother, I understand, but your child is your responsibility. Your child is your responsibility. So had I sat back and just let the school dictate what was going to happen, my son probably wouldn't have graduated, from high school. So that's how we're going to open this up. Proverbs, the video, we saw what happened, and now we're going to ask some questions. And then we're going to go around. We're going to ask the panel to give their input. The subject of our message on today is called the Black Pandemic. My first question is, who's responsible? This is where we're going to start. And we're going to take each question, you know, as each person speak on it, then we're going to go to the next question. That's if we have enough time to go through all 5 questions. So we're just going to go around. We're going to start with Dr. Dozier.
All right, sorry about that. The Psalms tells us that even God uses his rod and his staff to comfort us. and for any of us who think that we can go our own ways and make life work for us without a word that directs us, and then the rod that corrects us in anything. I'm going to share real quickly my story. I was left with 5 children. My youngest son was 2 years and 9 months old when the father and I separated. I got an opportunity when he was in his senior year, 2001, to move to Louisiana. I did not know that it was the intent of God for me to stay there. So I made preparations. My oldest daughter, he was the last one in school. She was going to stay with my oldest daughter, who lived close to his school, finish his senior year, and then he would join me in Louisiana. My oldest son was already there with me. I took him to University of Texas. He got into the University of Texas. And so this was a last child. I was excited about my last child growing up. I had my sister's daughter. I had my 3 girls who it was a challenge as a single parent to get all of them through school. Mm-hmm. My children were gifted and tested, documented, certified, gifted and talented. We were in California. I left California because of all of the gang and drug stuff. I wanted to save my children. We went to Georgia. They did well in Georgia. I moved them to Texas. So we're in Texas, and I'm leaving the last son with his sister. Somewhere, I think it was in November of his senior year, my spirit just told me to call the school. I think that's the way it went. And I wanted to know the status of my son. When I talked to him, when I talked to my daughter, everything was cool. I called the school and they told me, Ms. Dozier, your son has November now. School started in August. We're in November. He had already missed 20 days of school. And so I said, what? So she gave me his status. If things don't turn around, he may repeat his last year. Oh, no, no. I have put it all these kids are trying to get him out of high school. He will not repeat a class. So I prayed about it and I got a plan. I got in my little red wagon. I drove to San Antonio, went to Judson High School. I said, I'm disenrolling my son and I'm taking him to Louisiana with me. She got all the paperwork, everything. Nobody knew the plan but me and God. She gave me all the paperwork, everything else. I went to my daughter's house and my daughter was working night shifts and what have you. She was a manager of a restaurant. So she couldn't always manage what he was doing. So I went there and she just happened to be, just as I was getting there, oh, Mom, I got to go to work. So she left. I sit at the house. I sit on the sofa waiting for him to come back from school. It went from early evening all the way into the midnight and past. About 3 o'clock, he opens up the door. And when he saw me, it was, I told him, I have disenrolled you from school. Go back out the door. Tell all your friends, whoever brought you home, tell them to take you to visit all your friends. This is your last shot. Because when you come back, and I don't care what time you come back, when you come back, you and I are going to Louisiana. I have already disenrolled you and you won't be going back to school. He was shocked. I said, go out the door. Go tell him bye. Because when you come back, this is what's going to happen. About 3 hours later, he came back. We went to Louisiana, and he was not used to the culture of Louisiana. Neither was I. I was acclimating myself to it. He went to a school that was about maybe 50% African Americans, and he had a culture shock. He told me, Mama, come get me out of this school. It's too many Black people. I don't want, they're too ghetto. Please get me out of here. I went to the school, I disenrolled him, but there was another plan. Got 1 more minute. So what I did was I had one of my church friends took on, and I have to give a shout out to Catherine and John Young, took my son for 1 year. He was 17 years old, took my son for 1 year, put him in a school where they lived, a better school, what have you. He graduated. He had to repeat the senior year. He graduated with honors. He got his certificate from the senator of the state of Louisiana. And that's part of my story. There's more backstory, but I'm going to yield the floor at this time.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Brother Floyd. Do I need to?
I was going to yield to one of the guests first.
Okay.
Let them get their feet wet.
Well, we can do that. We can do that. Yes, sir. We can do that. Or do I need to repeat the question? All right. Brother Culpepper.
Okay. Who's responsible?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that I said we all responsible. I mean, the parents, the way that I say it, the God gave us these children. Those are his children, but they're our children. And we are his agents. And if we should follow by the word, like we were saying, the rod and reproof, that is how I grew up. Now, my son, my oldest son, I had, me and my first wife were separated. So I was in Chicago and they was in Alabama. And I wanted my son to come to me, but she wouldn't let him go. So she let him go in his junior year. She finally figured out, I can't raise him like a man, like you would. So I took him in when he was a junior year and put him in Crete Monique High School, which is a pretty much mostly white, actually. But, you had some blacks there. But he did well until his senior year. And his senior year, it just fell apart. And, so I knew that I had to really take more time with him at home. I spent time with him, but I let some things go by the wayside. So what happened, what really opened things up is he went to school drunk. He was drinking with his friend. And I got called in. I had one, it was so great. I had a vice president there. She was a sister that really cared for people, and it makes a difference. So we talked. I said, look, whatever we got to do, we're going to get him graduated. We're going to get him graduated. But not only did I use, for her help, but also my recruiters, like Johnson. I'm like, because I had to be to work. I was single, had to be to work, but we worked with everyone. All the men helped out. Took him by his hand and talked to him and made sure he fully understood what this meant. You have to graduate. I was never one that spared the rod. I mean, at this age, I didn't have to, put the rod on him like that, because then, he's bigger than me, but still I would have wore him out. But okay. But those are things that we have to do. We have to realize we are responsible for our children. We have to take more time to find out what's going on with them in their schools and everything else. So everything that they do, we need to know what's going on, and not be thinking that we're being too hard, because life's going to be harder than we are actually. So,
amen. Well said. That was well said, brother. Appreciate that. All right, brother Culpepper from down in my bottom screen. You're gonna have to unmute your mic, brother.
Brother Lewis.
Yeah, brother Lewis. There you go.
I unmuted it. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm in agreement with brother Culpepper. I believe it's not only I guess the parents' fault, but also the child. I think they they sort of they're both of them responsible, because without both of them cooperation, there's not going to be any success. Now, I don't have sons, so I'm probably not the one to. I have daughters, but I know my daughters, both of them, has done well in not only school, but they have secondary degrees also. And so, but we try to. Me and my wife tried to instill in our daughters, what to do in school, and just do whatever necessary to be successful in school, and don't have us coming up there, getting involved in something we shouldn't be getting involved with. And we held her to that. And we told her what to expect if we had to take off work or whatever, for some foolishness. And so you're there to be educated and to learn as much as you can. And we held her to that, and she sort of like appreciated us, both of them. I have two daughters. They both appreciated us for just being parents that cared and had some sort of discipline in their life. Because now they're both out on their own, and they're married, and they're gonna do to their kids what we did to them, is make them responsible. And even if like, I think there at this child was passing, wasn't doing anything, but was passing. So that's not really helping the person in the long run anyway. A lot of these schools, they don't really have the child's interest at heart, and so they just pass the child on. And once the child gets out of school, he finds out that he's not at the level he should be, and that he's not successful. You end up not knowing what you should know, and that still holds you back in the long run. And so if you get it the first time, whether it's the parent and the child, if you do it right the first time, I think in the end you're gonna be successful.
Yes, sir.
And that's
right. You still got 1 minute.
Okay, you're gonna be successful, and we all look at life once it's almost over with. We're gonna look at life, and we don't want to look at life in despair once we look back. And so the more you put in life, the more you're gonna get out of life. And so when you look back at life, you're gonna be more appreciative when you try to get, as much out of life as you can. And so, you try to learn as much as you can, and then from that, you can do as much as you can from what you've learned. We do better when we learn better.
All right, brother. All right, Brother Johns.
I'm just excited about what I'm hearing.
Yes, sir.
So far, as my experience in the military, as a Army recruit, and also as an educator in JROTC in high school, I saw so many things. And to answer the question is that who's responsible? Everybody is responsible. I've been in a system where through education, we saw, me and Culpepper can attest to this, that we saw kids, and you, Michael, those of us that taught ROTC, and Jimmy, that taught, and Sister Dozier, in the education system, we saw where kids was just passed by. I remember my first assignment teaching at one of our high schools here in Shreveport, that I was teaching sophomores, and a young man couldn't read or write. And I was wondering why he was causing so much problem in the classroom, until one of my students came up to me and told me he was only trying to distract the class because he did not want anybody to find out that he couldn't read or write. So it's all of our responsibility. And it's so sad that as a Black people, we are the one that at the end of the totem pole that have been not really educated. And that has come through over 200 years of oppression that we've been through. And so it's up to us as a Black people to reach out, to go to the schools. What I've done since retirement now, I went to some of our elementary and middle schools and did some reading or whatever I could to try to help the teachers, the principals, and other faculty members in order to try and help those students in the school. So whether or not just talking about it, we need to go out and do something about it. And so the pastors, the churches should be the main core people that's going to go out and do something. Pastor, you ain't doing nothing, just in the office on Monday morning, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, make yourself available to go to the school and be able to do something and let somebody know who you are, not just a pastor at a church, but a representative leader of the community. And so I believe that all of us are responsible. I don't want to be so negative, but there are schools. I saw teachers and faculty members just went to teach for for a paycheck. They weren't really concerned about the students at all, and they just want to get that paycheck and get up out of there. But our students and children are very concerned, and so with all this dilemma, all these things that are happening right now in society with COVID-19, and our kids are not being able to go to school, we have a problem. So it's going to have to take our communities to get involved in order to be able to help our young people, male and females. And looking at this video, that young man really needs some help. So if anybody in that location, I'm sure you have, can reach out not just to him, but many others just like him. And that's why our penal institution jails are so crowded with these individuals, because of the situation that we're in now. And I want to go on and digress at this time.
Brother Jimmy. Brother Jimmy.
All right, Brother Webb. It's a very, very good topic. And I say that because I'm looking back on my life. I'm a direct reflection of a young man like that. My mother was a single parent. So therefore, the flip side of all of this is that as a parent, you can tell your children to do the right thing. They themselves will take it upon themselves to do the wrong thing because there's no supervision. So with that being said, I was a knucklehead. I was supposed to fail the 6th grade. I had all F's and 1 D and a D in PE. So I'm gonna give y'all, that's the history, the backstory. So like Dr. Dozier say, I guess I might be the miracle or the unicorn on here right now. But but however, I fast forward, being a soldier, a father, a husband, with a son, with 2. But the one that I had care of, I was always gone. I was deployed. I was doing this. I was doing that for my country. But in some aspects, I was still an absentee father. Wow, how could that be? Because my career came first, but I didn't get to spend time with him because at the current time when we were in the military, it was the mission. There was no, hey, there was a balance. There was a false balance there. So, however, when we reconvened, we reunited back in 2012, headed to Hawaii for my last tour of duty. You know, me being who I am, I saw the telltale signs because I said, his blood run through, my blood run through his veins, so I know what he's capable of. So, I had a vested interest. So he moved from Killeen, Texas to Hawaii from Killeen High School to Mauna Loa High School. The demographic is totally different. You're talking about Asians, Filipinos, Micronesians, just about every nationality is there. And he had to do some adjustments and he struggled a little bit. And we had to identify that. And then also, hey, do you need counseling also with that? But one thing I had to do was I had to stay engaged with him. I had to make sure that I was monitoring him from a distance. I would come home and I would ask questions. Hey, man, how you doing in school? I'm all right. But my spirit wasn't saying it was all right. My spirit was saying something was wrong. So I would leave work and go to school and begin to do my investigation. And all of a sudden, we'll come home, have the same discussion. How you doing? I'm doing good. I said, no, you're not. I said, I left the school today and they told me blah, 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 blah. And so with the guidance counselors and his teachers, we had a meeting. Myself, my wife, and my son. And I said, do y'all know his goals? What he said he wanted to do many years ago? They said, no. I said, do you know he wanted to go to MIT? They said, what? I said, so the curriculum that you chose for him, is this going to get him into MIT? Oh, okay. Did you know that he was on the president's science list when he was in Killeen, Texas? He made that list for President Obama. Did you know that he was one of those gifted students that was there? No, we didn't know that. Okay. So now, however, a child that can be doing progressively great will begin to regress if there's no attention paid to it and monitored. Because sometimes if you leave a child, again, like the scriptures say, to their own devices.
Yes, sir.
The TV, devices. The cell phone, devices. The computer, devices. Their friends, devices. They're gonna turn out pretty rough. So I said all that to say this is that the problem that we have has spanned generations. And now we're the generation that say, hey, we want to do something about it. Even though we raise our children and we're grandparents now, some of us, and those that are in the wing waiting, we said, hey, we want to take responsibility now. So again, like everyone said, it's unanimous. We all are responsible, and it takes a village to raise one child, let alone all the many.
Wow. Oh, wow. That was well said, brother. I tell you. And with that said, we're going to segue over. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to read all three of the remaining questions. So while we're talking, if we want to like transition to the next one and to the next one, instead of us stopping, because I believe our time going to run out, because this is getting good. This is real good. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the questions, and then you all be kind of thinking about how you want to address it. All right. Number 2, why do we always look for someone else to blame? And I want that to marinate. Why do we always look for someone else to blame? As I was listening to the young lady on the video, and she was saying, where are the mentors? Where are this, that, and the other? No, mama, where were you? And I digress. And the next one is, has the social construct or system caused the problem? Has the social construct or the system caused the problem. And that's, and I use as an example, i.e. the mother working, you know, was that a problem? 3 jobs. The father was never mentioned. And in the mix, and the law enforcement. Number 4, why do the mother carry all the weight of the situation and the children seem to not care? As you all noticed, the mother was the one crying and sobbing and seemed like she was in more dismay. But as the child, he's sitting there on his cell phone at the TV doing the video game with no care, no worry. So I want you to think on that. And the last one is, do it take a village? Do it really take a village, or is the responsibility on the parents? And Dr. Doge, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay, I have a witness online, Camille Stevenson Thomas. Some of you come out. That's my second daughter who just retired 25 years from the Air Force. Has 2 daughters, and she's been sending me some reminders. One of the things she said was that, Mom, from K to 12, her 2 daughters went to between 10 and 12 schools. We live in a society. A society is made up of all these different systems: home, family, church, school, play, recreation, all these things. All of them have an impact on our children. We cannot raise our children by ourselves because it just doesn't work that way. It was not intended to work that way. God intended that children would be born in a family with a father and a mother so that there would be some balance in their emotional growth, their psychological growth, their physical growth. And when my boys got to a certain age, I was a track star and did real well at softball, didn't touch basketball. Those boys had an affinity for basketball. What was I going to teach them? So we got some help. And so, so we have to pull from our society. One of the things that Camille also said is that after I started raising my children and started seeing the problems, like I said, these kids were tested. I think 8th grade, Camille made a test, and were tested gifted and talented. They went to the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts. And so they had all kinds of exposures to every type of everything, from dancing, singing, music, everything else. But, and the thought I was going to have was that it takes so much in order to raise a child. And for women, again, they may think, and it comes out of their mouths, I can do it by myself. Why? You just wait. It's easy to say that when your babies are 2 and 3, and you can look at them, you do like my children's father used to do, and they fall back in line. You try that at 12. You try that at 16. You try that at 21. It's not going to work. So we need everybody. So who's to blame? It's a whole systemic piece. When my children was growing, I was going to say, I started substitute teaching at school. I found out way back then, teachers don't give nothing about our children. I've gone to the principals. I've gone to vice principals. I've gone to heads of departments. When I was substitute teaching, the teacher left me nothing. I had 160 children that I had to be responsible for. I had no guidance. None. I went to the principal. I went to the vice principal. I went to the department head. The department head says to me, Ms. Dozier, I'm sorry. I just got this job for the first time. I don't have time to help you. I went to one of the other teachers, the room next to me. Listen, I'm just a substitute. I got 100, and it was a long-term sub from August to January. Please help me. She said, no, ma'am, I'm getting ready to go home. Wow. So I said, okay, God, it's me and you. I started bringing in all of the professional people that I knew, from politicians, my state rep, everybody to people with skill jobs, construction people, all these kinds of things. I had a whole series where they would just come to the class, talk to the children about what they were doing, because I asked them, what do y'all want to do? Okay, I need to give them a vision, something. So anyway, the longest story to the story was, and I told the principal, after they started, the kids would ask me, this is the truth, make note of this. When I had to give them a test, Ms. Dozier, where are the answers? What? Where are the answers? My teacher always gives us an answer to the test. How did that happen? They said, ask any of the teachers. So as my classes would rotate out, I'd ask the next class, well, where our teachers give us answers. Well, how are you failing if your teachers are giving you the answers to everything? So I told them, I said, listen, my name is not all of my other teachers. Look on the board. It's Jackie Dozier. You're not going to get the answers in this class. Can I tell you at the end of that semester, 160 children passed that class? Because I told them, we don't play that. I'm sorry. So it takes everybody. It takes, somebody said about the pastors, you know, and I was pastoring a church. I was running my own business, but when they would call me 1 or 2 days a week, I substitute taught. I went in there and I set order, and I went in to try to help them with stuff. One of them even turned me into their parent mother. The mother sent me the letter. She gonna come up. Oh, baby, I'm a nonprofit management consultant. I keep documents, copious notes. I grabbed my folder on that sister. I told the mother what day she came in late, what time she came in late, her attitude while she was there, whether or not she did her work. And I had the whole list on the grid, and I gave it to her mother. Her mother reached up and hauled off and hit. She said, you brought me up here to attack this woman, and it was you all the time. And so, but somebody has got to care for our children. And I'm just going to, I don't know how much time I got left, because one more minute. So everybody has, the church has a rise to the occasion. The home has I got 9 siblings, and about 6 of them helped me raise my children. But one of them, my middle sister, put all of my children in baby boot camp whenever I came to town. She put them in baby boot camp, and she would teach them things and what have you, how to eat and what have you, because I had those children in 10 years. So I was cracking them out like that. And they were and I got overwhelmed at times. That where's my time for myself? Yeah. So I would stay up late at night from 1 to 3. That was my time. Then I had to get up at 5 or 6, get the military husband off to work. He always liked his lunch, coffee brewed, lunch homemade. And so I was on a roll all the time. So it's going to take everybody. It's going to take the football coaches. I put my sons in Pop Warner. I didn't have money. I went to the coach. Listen, I'm a single parent. I got them 2 right there. I think they were 9 and 10 at the time. They need to be in Pop Warner. I don't have the money. I need a scholarship. Do you think they told me no? Because they look like me. They understood. I'm a single parent. So everywhere I could find, the schools would get me mentors. The church would give me mentors. And Camille, so she would say, it is a village mentality, because we live in a village. We don't live in silos. So it's going to take everybody to nurture everything. And my last party chart is that we cannot give away what we didn't have. Fortunately, I was raised in a family with a mom and a dad. And my dad was military. He was gone most of the time too. But at least they were there. They gave me a certain sense of security. And so I was helped to do whatever I needed to do to help my children have that same thing. I'm watching my children raise their children, giving them the same peace in this 21st century. And so, but some of the other parents, they never knew their dad. Their dad, never knew the father. Mother got pregnant and left, or the dad disappeared or what have you. So they can't give away what they don't have. They can't give away the nurturing. They can't give away the care. Because I saw them teachers tell me, that's your problem. So I told the principal, and this is my last thing. I said, listen, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm a master degree teacher and trainer, I taught school before and everything, you would have been responsible for 160 children failing this particular portion of their class. If it wasn't for the fact that I came into this class prepared. I know what to do. If you give me a license, you told me you don't have anything, I will invent something and create something. So it does take every single thing. And parents got to get to those schools. Got to get, and Camille, I'm gonna tell you a story. Camille was a fighter. She the star player of the football team. We used to harass her in her math class. And so she would tell me all the time, I said, well, tell the teacher, and the teacher didn't do anything. So one particular day she decided, now he's 6'7", star football player, big muscles and everything else. She was about 5'6" at the time. And she beat the crap, and she said, let's take it outside. And the teacher allowed her. She beat the holy crap up out of the star football player. It got all over the school. And so, and because I had been talking to the teacher and the counselors, I think they gave Camille 3 days of in-school suspension or some light piece. That boy was so embarrassed. He was up for scholarships. His mother took him out of the school. So it takes a relationship with the teachers and the thing so that our kids can get grace and mercy, because they're not always going to do the right thing. So anyway, I rest my case on that one.
All right. Oh, that's powerful, powerful, sister. Brother Lewis.
Wow, that's a hard one.
Yes, sir.
I guess the more people that influence your kid, your children's, sometimes can bring out the best in them. But there's also times when the parents could have a lot of influence and encouragement to that can push that child. That can make, you can have super parents. You can have dedicated parents. You can have parents that's very influencing.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of, and motivate and inspiring. A child can be touched by that. And so, but I imagine the more impacting hands that touches that kid, the better that kid will be. But a lot of that impacting can come from the parents. Because, you know, there's super parents out there. There's parents that does so much influencing and inspiring till they can bring out the best in that child. Mm. Now, like I said, I had girls, so you know, I believe my wife and I was very impacting. You know, we're just like the majority of the men there at this table. We grew up, with God being the center of our lives. And so naturally we are impacting, and inspiring and encouraging, because, we know the part that God and Jesus played in our lives, and we've transformed that into our kids. And so when you put that in your child, that alone can be more powerful than other people's in their lives. And so it's really I guess it's really kind of hard to say, but I guess the more people that's involved in your kids' lives, if they are instilling and impacting, and the parents are doing the same, naturally, with those two forces coming at that child gonna probably be much, he's probably gonna be more than it was if it was just the parents, I guess. But generally speaking, if the parents are just super parents, if they are powerful and motivated by God, I don't think a village is necessarily needed. But that's my opinion, and what do I know?
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. All right, brother Culpepper.
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, Jackie Dozier, Mr. Snow, you guys covered everything that I would think of. I mean, because I grew up like that. I'm originally from Brooklyn. I grew up with 12, 6 boys, 6 girls.
Wow.
My mother was a beast. she didn't play. She didn't play. But, I had my grandfather and my grandmother was, that was our village where, they made, even though we didn't have a man in the house, my grandfather was my man. I mean, that was my father, and they made sure that I know some of you guys remember this, the encyclopedias, things like that. Oh, I lived on them. But that helped me. They made sure that I knew just how important education was. Talk about a village. I have, when I was 14 years old, there was a gentleman, black man, Jim Jones. He took over the youth board. He got us all together, all the guys together. He took us out to eat first, then he made a basketball team of us. But he also took us to the opera, took us to off-Broadway plays, you know, teach us some refinement, you know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. So when so I've been, all of my careers that I've had, the Army is not the only career that I've had. I was working at Rikers Island for 2.5 years. I was a respiratory therapist for 5 years, and then I went into the Army. But I used it once I got out of the Army. I became a recruiter for a staffing agency, which was mostly Hispanic or whatever. But I never forgot that I need to be a mentor for my Black kids. You know, they needed to see there was very few Black recruiters out there. There was very few. I became a community relations manager, very few. So I made sure that when they needed somebody to come and talk to the kids, I was there. I talked to the kids from grade school all the way up to high school. I would, if they said, hey, we would need a mentor to come in, I'm there. I'm there. Then when they got older, they got into community agencies. I made sure that I talked to them about employment. What is it you want to do? What is an employer looking for? What are they looking for? You know, all the things that you need to do. Finishing school, even if you're not going to college, get a trade. Because you know now they took all the trades out of the high schools. You know, which is terrible. But I always tell them, if you don't want to go to college, that's okay. Get you a trade. Get you a trade. Get you a trade. So I just look at all the things that those that touched my life, where my parents was the first, was the cornerstone kind of, and then from there, but they always made a way for me to be touched by other people that helped me to grow.
That's great.
So yes, it's all needed. It's all needed, so that's
All
pretty
right.
much all I gotta
All
say.
right, bro. Well said, brother. Bro Floyd.
Yeah, I is.
Yes, sir.
Great. All I can say is wow, because as you know, most of the time as you're talking, you reflect. See, I don't go outside of myself. I do introspection. So I look at when I was a kid, that it was a deacon across the street that took me under his wing and made me go to Sunday school when my brother and sister tearing up the house. I'm sneaking out the church. See, I was always that kid to do that, but still didn't negate the fact that I was pretty bad in school, because we want attention and we don't care how we get it. We won't be famous, but even if we become infamous, so it's still a type of fame, but might not be the correct type. However, as we're stating, my mind went back to even recruiting as I sat in a town hall meeting in Louisiana, and I was listening to the deputy to the governor of Louisiana. He was the moderator for this particular topic, and we were talking about education. And one of my friends invited me in and to sit on the panel. And as we were sitting on the panel, I sat back listening to everyone blaming teachers for not educating their children, and everyone else being responsible besides themselves. And I sat back for maybe about the first 20 minutes, and I got a little irritated. I had to be honest, because I worked in the system, and the first thing I began to explain to them is say, first and foremost, I don't have a child in your system, but however, I work in your system. As a recruiter, I will go from different school to different school, and different demographics. You can begin to see, and you see different things. So as I begin to share with them, I say, being a soldier, we're taught to identify the problem, and then provide an answer or a solution. And I said, first and foremost, let's go this route. Soft skills are taught at home. They're not taught at school. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Please and thank you are taught at home. Teacher don't have time to teach your child that. That's first and foremost. I said, so the other piece is this, is that sometimes we have to have the right teachers in there, because guess what? I'm just trying to pay back my student loans, and the state will pay me if I stay this many years. So when you begin to find out all of these other entities or what we call alligators and crocodiles is operating behind the scenes, to where people are very malicious, because that's why they don't care about your child, because I'm just out for me first and foremost. I'm not concerned about your child. I'm concerned about that student loan that I got to pay back. Now, once that's done, I'm going on to that career that I'm really looking forward to.
Yes. Yes.
Then the other thing that came out was this, is that, and I shared with them, I said, the other social piece that's missing is that there's no place where children are safe anymore. I said, I remember pastors used to walk down the streets in the projects and in the ghettos, and everybody would be putting up their alcohol, their dope, whatever they're doing, they'll hide it and they'll put it up and begin to talk to the man of God. But they don't do that anymore. And I said, we stopped doing that, but that was the key to the survival of our neighborhoods and our villages, so to speak. I said, because when they came, they brought the anointing with them. My God, they brought the anointing with them. And as they begin to see that somebody cared about me, what happened was they took that information back into the homes, and that provided an opportunity for the man of God to come in, or the anointing to abide. So lastly, I began to really share with them. I said, hey, that's scary to me, because now you put a child in the current time now, real time right now, meeting the you or I or anyone on these panel, right? They are forced to make a decision predicated on their home environments that lack the presence of God. And so they're caught between an opinion. Who should I believe? Apostle Dozier, Apostle Jones, Brother Culpepper, Brother Lewis, Brother Webb, Brother Floyd? Who do I believe now when I'm in an environment that's been on welfare for 4 generations? And this is how we do it.
Yes.
And here I am, a new agent of change. Yes, sir. A new agent of change, trying to push them to another place by the Spirit of God. Now they're caught, and they're like, "Oh my God, who do I believe?" But what we do prayerfully and skillfully, prayerfully and skillfully. Let me just be your cheerleader right now. I know what you're going through, but if anything, let me be here for you if you need me. And we'll get you to where you need to be. But also, there has to be a desire to change.
Yes.
And you can't change something, someone, or any entity that does not want to change. I digress.
Yes, sir. Powerful, brother. Powerful. You know, a child don't care how much you know. Until they know how much you care.
But you care. Come on.
And I was an ROTC instructor for 13 years after I retired, after 22 years of active duty. And one of the things that I had to experience is that Sergeant Webb that dog don't hunt out here. So when I first went into the school system, what I had to learn is that everything that I learned while I was on active duty, it all was for that purpose. And I didn't really understand it until I actually went into the classroom. My first week at school, I'm going into one of the toughest schools in the city. They always put me in the toughest, the hardest school, the most disrespectful children, the most non-participative parents. I mean, those were the schools I was in. Those were the schools that I had the privilege to attend. And I look back at that. My first week, kids was cussing, fussing, just cutting up sideways. Now I'm straight off of active duty. I'm just not accustomed to kids being disrespectful to adults like that. I mean, I'm just totally obliviated. Kid, I'm telling them to sit down. They telling me, man, you better go on somewhere with that. You better diss me with that. And I'm looking at them, and the kids laughing. Now here I am in uniform with rank on and all of this, and kids putting their hand in my face. Oh man, diss me with that. So I'm going through all of this in my first week of teaching. I wanted to quit right there. I said, there is no way I'm finna put up with these disrespectful kids. I said, who are they parents? I mean, just like a bunch of wild. Never seen nothing like it in my life. I had applied for another job. I was going to go to work at another company. They called me, told me I had a second interview. That Saturday night, that Sunday morning when I went to bed, because I had to come to school that next morning, that Monday, and I had a dream that Saturday night. And that Sunday night, preparing to go to school because I knew I had an interview, plus I had to make a decision what I was going to do as far as staying with the kids. And in my dream, the kids circle around my desk. They all circle around my desk. And they said, Sergeant Webb, why are you leaving us? Why are you leaving us? And in that dream, I can remember looking up saying, Lord, no, don't do this to me. And I woke up out that dream. When I went to school that Monday morning, it seemed like the kids were nicer. It seemed like they had it seemed like they had a different disposition. I'm saying, what is going on? It's like, how you doing, sorry? It's like the whole atmosphere changed. And the Lord showed me in that dream. He said, the kids never changed. He said, you had to change. You can't expect them to know what you know. They haven't been where you've been. They don't understand respect. You're going to have to be the agent of change if you want them to change. And I said, Lord, and so the guy called me while I was in class. He said, Mr. Webb, you going to accept the job? He said, we got to make a decision. And the kids was all in my office, and I was looking at them, and I just wanted to cry. And I said, sir, I'm not going to take the job. I said, I thank you. He said, well, what's going on? I said, no. I said, I'm deciding. I'm not going to take it. I said, thank you. When I found out that God, he said, it's not the children that's got the problem. You got to humble yourself. You got to be the one. You can't look at them kids as this, that, and the other. You got to humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. And I'm telling you, when I was able to see them kids like God see them, the whole thing changed for me. When I was able to see through his eyes and not my eyes, then I was able to see them kids in a whole different light. Man, I would hug the kids would hug me. They would be waiting on me when I drive up to open up the classroom. And God had gave me a supernatural love for them. I'm talking about y'all, I don't know where, but he gave me a supernatural love for those children. And until you can meet them where they at, you can't expect for them to think like grown folks. You can't expect for them to know all these things that they haven't been taught. That's where, but yes, it takes a village. I really believe it does take a village, and it takes responsible parents, and it takes all of these things. But the biggest problem that I see when it comes to our children is that you got to love them. You got to love them first. If you don't love them and you just there for a paycheck, if you just there to get to your next level, you'll miss it. But if you love them, God will open it up for you. And I digress.
Amen. Whew. I tell you, this is exciting. Boy, y'all are bringing the house down. I have two witnesses that's here today that can attest what I'm saying is true. First of all, I started with my boss in Chicago. At that time, Sergeant First Class Culpepper. I was the mentor of the year for Chicago recruiting battalion, and he can attest to that in Chicago. So I've always been a mentor. I also worked as assistant to chaplain in the Cook County Jail and the juvenile, working with the youth and Big Brothers program and many other programs. And then coming back teaching ROTC in high school and etc. middle school. Sister Doja can attest to this. In the MLK area, we started a drill team, and these was impoverished kids from an impoverished neighborhood, and they was causing all kind of problems. And the Lord allowed me to start this drill team, and Sister Doja was of this organization that financially support us. And we took those kids to Dallas, Texas. Some of those kids had never left Shreveport before, never done anything, and getting all kind of trouble. We went to Dallas, Texas 2 years in a row and won first place in drill competition. And so I'm not bragging about this, but as Michael said again, we have to make a sacrifice. And by being in the school system, I want to say some of the things that I've watched. The reason why we're having problems is that, number one, low performing schools. I remember coming up as a young boy, particular school in one of our neighborhoods called Booker T. Washington. And you know, Booker T. Washington is a minority Black school. And Booker T. Washington had a lot of trades like carpentry, mechanics, and all the stuff like that, and welding and etc. So that was a very prominent school and did a lot of great things for the community. And but as I began to come back home in the 2000s and began to teach school at this particular same school, I noticed that this was a low performing school. And I noticed that they would bus our very smart or magnet students to other schools in the neighborhood. So as these kids began to leave our neighborhoods began to depreciate, and we started having more problems like we never had before because of the system. And so when I look at that young man in Baltimore, the school that he was in, it was a low performing school. How can you have 58% of the students with a 0.35 grade average? So those were some of the things I looked at that particular time. But only our Black schools are low performing schools. And then the system made it where I remember being in one particular school where we was low achieving, and they said, okay, well, the next year we're gonna you got to meet this certain grade point average right here, a level right here. Where every time you make that level, they'll raise the bar to another level. So how can you be an achiever when you first of all take the kids that intelligent intellect in our neighborhoods and send them to other school, white schools? Let me be just blunt about it. You know, then take our teachers away from our schools. So you done took. I want to use a quote from Dr. What's his name from Texas? Dr. What is his name? I want to give credit to where credit is. Tony Evans. Tony Evans, and I love quoting this quote. Tony Evans says, Dr. Tony Evans says this: you take a messed up child from a messed up home, send him to a school, you got a messed up school. From a messed up school to a messed up workplace, you got a messed up workplace. So in totality, what he's saying, you got a messed up child coming from a messed up home, going to a school, to a messed up school, from a messed up school to a messed up job, to a messed up society. And what we come up with is a mess. And that's what we're dealing with. But who's going to clean up the mess? We're going to have to be the one that sacrifice and clean up the mess. I mean, I had to sacrifice many long hours that we worked in the rain. We marched those kids. I mean, these are 6, 7, 8, 9 grade and 8 and 9 graders that we marched. And I pushed those kids, Mardi Gras parades. I'm talking about marching so many miles or whatever. These kids, they said they couldn't do it, but they did it.
Yes,
and so
sir.
we kept pushing those kids. That's what we got to do. When somebody tell you that, you know, one thing when I was in Chicago, Jesse Jackson had this slogan. He said, "You are somebody." And that's what we're going to instill in our kids, because there's an alchemy that's been told to us that we're just like our daddy, no good. We're not going to be any good. We're not going to do anything. But I was one that came from a dysfunctional family without having my father in my house. My grandmother raised me, and thank God for some godparents. Thank God for the godparents in my life that helped raise me to see me, amen, that I went to college, was able to retire from the military and etc. and do all the things that I need to do. But yet there was not that was not the end of me. Coming back home, I still worked in my community. I still did not forget where I come from, going back to my godparents, helping them out, even though they're older in age now. So you can't forget where you come from. Go back and do those things. And you know what? If I did not know Yeshua in my life, the Christ, the anointed one, today. But it was because of these godparents that saw me in the projects hanging clothes up, old tennis shoes, you know, those tennis shoes we used to wear, that they used to talk, you know, to get the tape and wrap it around and everything. You know, matter of fact, let me go a little deeper than that. In a shotgun house, you know, you can look through the front door, out the back door, you know. And so when I began to teach school in the car I was driving, the house I live in, my kids did not understand. They saw my glory, but they didn't know my story.
Yes, sir.
Right now, they didn't understand what I had to go through with prejudice, being in the military and even in the school system. Everything I had to go through with dealing with folks didn't like me because who I was. But I stood my ground and I stood my fight. I never gave up. Never gave up on those students, even though they was disrespectful, disobedient. Never gave up on them. Oh yeah, I wanted to knock them to kingdom come, but I couldn't, because his will had to be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen.
Yes.
So, amen. I'm just excited to see everybody on today. I'm not gonna talk too long, but I'm just excited with hearing what everybody's saying. My cousin, he know me. We all grew up, amen, in Providence neighborhood. I remember one time, you know, at nighttime, you know, in my neighborhood, when it started getting dark, you better get home. And if you didn't, you know, something was gonna happen.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and I remember one Sunday, because we always like the Cowboys, and for some reason, you know, we always like to play football after the game and stuff. After the game is over with, and I never forget my cousin right there, boy. He can run. And let me tell you what he did to me, okay, boy. We was playing football, and it started getting dark, and my mom had hollered down the streets and told me to come home, but I had to be, you know, the superstar. I had to get that touchdown. And boy, I tell you, I was lined up on the sideline. I was getting ready to run down and catch that pass, boy. And next thing I know, I saw everybody just scattered, like they saw something. I said, oh man, that must be bad, boy. I mean, everybody's scared to handle me, boy. And man, next thing I know, I felt something in my back. I felt the wind of it and took off running. And my mama said, Billy, this is we call Brother Lewis. Billy, you better catch him. And boy, Billy could run at that time. Boy, he took them glasses off, boy. And I was fast. I was running around the houses, running around the curves, boy. I was like the road running. Billy was a coward. He tried to catch me, boy. I was taking off running, you know. But that's how the neighborhood was back in those days. You know, you better disrespect old elder back in those days or whatever. So I'm just excited that we talked about this today, Mike. I'm gonna turn it back over to you. When I'm excited, I want to do another part on this right here, because I think there's some more questions that we're not able to discuss today. But I'm just excited. I just want to encourage the children that's in school right now, if you're listening to us, to continue going on, stay in school. You know, don't say no to drugs. You know, say no to the situation of that PlayStation that you're dealing with, because that PlayStation and Xbox and all other stuff really got you down, and you can't do what you want to. So really, nothing wrong with it, but you need to have time to do, you know, have your education first, and then you can digress and do something else. So,
yes, sir.
Preacher, Brother Michael, go it on, man, and take this on over with right now.
Yes, sir, brother. This has been really fruitful, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that all of the listeners out in Facebook land was able to glean something from this, maybe a situation that was mentioned that you can reflect on, that you can maybe turn a different direction when it comes to your own children, or see something that you may need to, you know, tighten up on. I'm just hoping something was said. And before we close out, we're going to go around, just let everybody give closing remarks, and then we're going to close out. All right. So we can just start with Brother Snow, Brother Jimmy, Sister Dozier, and Brother Culpepper.
Well, I just wanted to bring up one thing that I think Dr. Dozier's daughter brought out very well. She said that we have been put in a systematic way of teaching our children that one way is the only way, and that is not true. So as parents, we have to be more innovative in our delivery of education. because I've used to hear this all the time from my son, and I never paid attention to him. He said, and when I explained history to him, he said, "Dad, why no one ever teach like you teach?" I said, "I get it, son." I said, "But you have to get what you can while you're there. And what you don't understand, I'll do the rest when you get here."
Yeah.
So just a note to all parents, every child does not learn the same. So don't be frustrated with them, but understand their learning style. Because that's
Yes.
very important.
Very important.
Very important.
And my comment is this, parents, you can't blame the schools. You're your children's first teacher. You had them for 5 years before they even went to school. In a lot of cases, 4 and now 3 years old. It is your job to put in them all the basic foundations. And they say 50% of what every child knows as an adult, they learn it in the first 7 years of their life. I made sure that my children knew how to at least read and understand. So when they got to school, it made the learning easier for them.
Yeah.
So parents, stop blaming the system. You can do it. You make your own village. You help your children. You know what they need. And my last comment is this. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that it should go. And sometimes we train them up in the way that we want them to go. And not realizing that they have their own gifts, their own talents, and that we need to be more cognizant, pay attention, watch what your children are doing. And they have their own set of skills. All 5 of my children are in 5 different career fields. I try to put them all in one, So let your child watch them, train them, give them the best that you can in the first 5 years. If you have to go back, that's why God allowed erasers on pencils. If we make a mistake, repent, ask them to forgive you, and go back and clean up some of the stuff that we did, and hopefully they'll grab that, do a better job with their children.
Yes. Go ahead, brother. Just jump in.
Okay, I just want to thank, I don't know what part Deacon John played in this, but I want to thank him for inviting me. I had told him that I was a Sunday school teacher on Zoom, and next thing I know, I got an invitation to this. And so, I'm thankful.
Welcome.
This has been very enjoyable. I just wished I'd had some sons, some men's sons, so I could have more input. But my opinion is faith and I guess faith and obedience. Generally, that's all it took when God told Abraham, told him to move to Canaan. And all it took was faith in Abraham. Joshua told him to conquer Jericho. All it took was faith and obedience. And those of you who know the Bible know what he was up against. For Jericho was a fortress, and just told him, conquest there. And then when he told him how, he sit there and look at like the men we are, military men. You telling me to march around a building, and then on one day, and then on the 7th day, do it 7 times, and then just blow the trumpet, and when the trumpet blows, just shout. And the military man's getting information like that, especially when you've been through Iraqi freedom or been to Vietnam and something like that. You're saying, what? This is all I need to conquer this squall. But generally, I think God, God giving you the intuitive information and the know-how will have these men being as successful as they can be.
Yes, sir.
That's my opinion. And
yes.
But I never had men, but that's the advice my wife and I got, and we done very well with our daughters. Amen. So again, I want to thank you all. Y'all were very informative, very impacting, very inspiring. And believe me, if I come across some men, I'm going use some of the stuff y'all have suggested. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Very cold pepper.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Johns for putting this together. He's been talking to me for a while to come on this call, and I got to be honest, it was football season. Y'all messing around with I'm just telling you.
I understand.
Hey, man.
But, I'm just so glad that I got to meet everybody here. Everybody here we on the right track. We on the right track.
I believe that.
Yes.
And the main thing I like about this is we're reaching out. A lot of times, we preach a little more in the church, which I call as, but I'm just saying my thing is let's stop fishing in the aquarium.
Yes. Yes.
Let's go out.
Yes.
Let's go out. So
Yes.
I love this. I love
Fishing in
this.
the
I love this.
aquarium.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, my cousin demoted me to deacon, so what can I say?
That's all right. Deacons are powerful too.
After the preacher and teach.
I was a deacon before I became a preacher, though, so that's okay. Yes.
Amen.
What I like to say is that don't teach the test. Don't teach the test, but teach life. And the reason why I'm saying it because the system teaches us what they want us to learn and want us to know. But we as a Black people need to teach our people what life is all about. I think that once we let our young people know what life is all about, they'll pass the test.
Yes, sir.
Hold on one moment. Brother Derek Anderson might have something to say. Young, very powerful minister from Memphis, Tennessee. Brother Derek, what you have to say?
I don't have much to add to the conversation. I believe everyone did a wonderful job, and it's just great to hear you all just discussing, having experiences with your children, because me being a young father, it's still a lot I'm learning. So, I know that there are things that I wish I could have did differently, even though my kids are young, or things that I want to do differently, the way I could have set my life up. And it's always good to pass on their wisdom. So it's just great to be able to hear you all and receive some of it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Let's do a part 2 next Sunday, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Mike.
All right. All right, y'all. Well, this was awesome. And all I want to say is that, your children are actually a reflection of you. And so, I just really thank the Lord for my kids. And I got 10 grandkids, and I got that son for that brother. I had 2 daughters, man, and I said, oh Lord, I want somebody to carry on my last name. So God, so the Lord blessed me with that boy. I got him, and he's really my heart too. And we have grown folks conversations. And what I love so much about when you really put time in with your children, and then when they become old, when they become of age, of maturity, you can have grown folks conversations. And when my son and I get together, I don't care if we had a family, it'd be a house full of people, but me and him are still away, and we'll have just our time, and we'll just stay for 2 or 3 hours. And folks will say, where are they at? And me and him will be just talking to each other and just sharing. And he be telling me things that's going on in his life, and I can just sit back and say, Lord, I thank you. That's all I can say. Lord, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. So I just want to say that this was a great panel. Everyone really participated and contributed to the things that I really believe that the nation need to hear. Mothers with single parents need to hear it, and struggling fathers, we all, so I just really thank the Lord for everything that was said on today. And with nothing else, we will say until we meet again, same time, same station. Shalom.
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 Boy, this was beautiful.